LSU's loss to Vanderbilt told us more than the loss to Kentucky did. Oh, that's right. We've learned a lot more about LSU in this Vanderbilt
A
loss.
lot.
Welcome. Yes, welcome to Club Hoops, a father-daughter women's basketball podcast. I'm Natalie Franklin.
And Gregory Franklin.
Yes. Did I think that we'd be doing this episode? Well, to give us credit, when we were talking about, this difficult competitive stretch that LSU was coming up on, we did say if there was one game they were going to lose, is this one? Well, in Texas. We actually, we had them losing. This was one they could drop, and drop they did. This is the second one in a row they have dropped. We talked about the last loss to Kentucky, and we were like, is it time to panic? We were like, no, it's not time to panic. Now they've lost to Vanderbilt. Is it time to panic? I'm still going to say no. But like I said, you definitely learned a lot more about LSU, about how far they have to go, their shortcomings. By now, you know that LSU lost to Vanderbilt 65-61. And this is January. This is conference play. Dad, what initial thoughts, remarks, anything off top as we start this conversation?
I'm going to say big shout out to Vandy. They played this game like it was a March Madness game. They took control, slowed the game down, got the tempo down to their level, got in the half court, and then dominated for the most part. I know the score doesn't indicate domination, but when you have a high-powered offense like we believe LSU had or has, then yeah, I think they came out on top in that regard. The other sort of thing that really blows my mind, the last game, we kind of picked on LSU a little bit for the number of rebounds they didn't get, that they gave up. Well, they won the rebounding battle this time, and they still lost. That to me, one, it shows they recognize the problem and went to fix it, but then they still lose the game in other areas. And I'll wait before I talk about those other areas, but very good game. Vandy looked like, a top 5 team. They played very, very well when they needed to play very, very well. And they played well when they needed to play well, if that makes sense.
No, that makes, all the sense in the world, Dr. Seuss. Vanderbilt, Mikayla Blakes on Vanderbilt, 40 minutes. Played 40 minutes, scored 32 points, 3 from 9 from threes. And we got to give it up to the freshman, Aubrey Galavan, with her 14 points. But she was 4 for 10 from the three, so all her points pretty much came from the three-point line. Those two combined were pretty lethal to the LSU team. And as we saw, Mikayla put the team on her back in the fourth quarter. She went to work. I mean, and honestly, if you watch the game, the first quarter, she had the first 10 points for Vanderbilt. Like she's a dog. And I like that you mentioned that they won the rebound game. They still couldn't win. I have a handy list of things we learned about LSU. And we learned that rebounds won't save them. We learned that they fix one thing, they neglect 3 other things. That seems to be their identity. So we're learning that. I think for me, it was a good game. That LSU, again, they played well. In the second quarter, they outscored Vanderbilt 16-7, and Vanderbilt just made some adjustments at the half and was able to pull it out. Again, I think these are the games that are used, as I like to say, as measuring sticks. They'll learn what they need to fix. But I think, just to echo Kim Mulkey, they're not tough yet. They're not tough. And like Kim Mulkey said, there's not a drill I can come up with to teach toughness. And how I interpret that is she doesn't have any dogs. There are no dogs on that team. Who's a dog out there? Who wants it? Yeah. Right now, nobody wants it. Another thing I learned, they don't have a leader on that team. I thought it was Flau'jae Johnson. we'll talk about her in a minute, but they don't have a leader on that team. Who's the floor general? I think we all noticed that Mylasia started this
Yep.
game, and I believe it was because Kim wanted some defense right out the gate, wanted a spark right out the gate. And give Mylasia some credit, she did way better than she did in Kentucky, but she's not a point guard. She's not your starting point guard. If you look at, and not no shade, but this is just a comparison on point guards. Look at Raven Johnson. Even Kiki Rice,
yeah.
if we don't want to do SEC on SEC. Kiki Rice, Raven Johnson, look at those pure point guards. Not are they point guards, they can get you a bucket. That is not Mylasia yet. She's still developing, but Kim's going to have to think of something at the point guard position, and they need a leader. Someone's going to have to step up and be the leader on that team.
Totally agree. I want to give an honorable mention or shout out to Sasha Washington, because Sasha played great defense, got some key rebounds in that fourth quarter that were pivotal. And I think Vandy they have the makings of a big three. That's Galvan, Blakes, and Washington. I mean, that I just really want to give a huge shout out to Sasha for her play.
Now, did she get that, just for clarity? She's the one that got that big board at the end, and they were able to call the timeout and keep the ball.
Absolutely. Okay. I think she's like a fifth-year player or something like that. But in regards to LSU's leadership or lack thereof, I did see Flau'jae trying to give some direction and put people where they needed to be defensively. I don't know how receptive they were, to that message, because some players had a bewildered look on their face when she was trying to position them in certain places. But you're absolutely right. They lack point guard playability, and they lack leadership. Floor general. Someone who can direct folks. What made the leadership situation, I think, a little bit better. That Vandy gym, the benches are under the baskets. And so I saw the coaches come out under the baskets and give direction and actually shout out direction as well. So I think, for LSU, I mean, obviously Vanderbilt is kind of used to that because it's their home gym. I saw LSU's coach, Kim, actually come out on the floor several times and sort of direct people where to go, which had to be an advantage for them, for her to be that close to the action, particularly underneath the basket. So didn't turn out to be one from a scoring standpoint, but it was clear there's some things that were exposed, if you will, regarding LSU. But there were some things recognized regarding the Commodores that if I'm an SEC coach, or if I got Vandy next, and I'm going to point to this game as, hey, this is who we have to stop. We have to stop this particular team, because if they show up, this Vandy team, if they show up, it's going to be trouble.
Yeah, and let's talk turnovers. LSU had 22, Vanderbilt had 12. But I will say the interesting part is LSU scored more points off Vanderbilt's turnovers. But still something that LSU needs to address, taking care of the ball. Where is the point guard, right?
Yeah.
Let's take care of the ball. Also, interesting enough, again, it's not like LSU played a terrible game. They scored 30 points in the paint to Vanderbilt's 16.
Yeah.
These are great stats, and you're like, how did they lose this game? How did they lose this game? I personally think they lost it from the 3-point line. They only attempted 7 threes and only made 3, versus you go to Vanderbilt, they made 10 threes and attempted 27.
They put it up.
They put it up. And I don't know what Kim's direction was in the huddle. I don't know. It didn't seem like they were getting ran off the 3-point that much, but it just felt like maybe they were too focused into driving. I don't know, but put the ball up. You've got to shoot a 3, especially, and this is what we've talked about with LSU, with the I won't say unfortunate, but with their soft scheduling. I said that they've never had to create space or distance between them and an opponent. They do not know how to close a game, clearly, and they can't run away with the game. And this is how you do it. You make some 3-pointers. And I think that's how Vanderbilt won this game. They hit some pretty important threes when it mattered.
They hit important threes, aided by the fact that LSU also couldn't make layups. I mean, they smoked quite a few layups, but they hit important threes. And I'll be honest, I think the play of the freshman Galvan surprised them. I think she
Yeah.
definitely, because when she pulled up, she was dropping it.
Yeah.
It was stop,
Confident.
pop, and drop. So I think that was a
Yeah.
surprise, and it sounded like a surprise because Kim even acknowledged that that freshman really came through for them. She didn't call her name, which I thought was interesting. Didn't call her name, but she said that freshman really came through from. I really feel like I have two perspectives here. One, starting Fuwiley. Yeah, I needed some defense, but I also think Kim, in her own way, was trying to give her an opportunity to make up for that Kentucky game. I'm gonna put you out.
Right. Like a confidence
Absolutely,
booster.
absolutely. I felt that that was in play. I think it worked a little bit in the first half when she was playing great defense and really just doing a great job. I think in the second half, when the Commodores came back out and they had their game plan adjusted based on what they saw in the first half, I think that's where the problem was created for Fuwiley. And like you said, she's not a
Mhm.
point guard. So she got some point guard pressure put on her defensively. And also, she had to defend a point guard who was
Yeah.
actually really, really good. I mean,
Yeah.
Galvin was really, really good. So
Yeah.
I think that it's from LSU's perspective. Yeah, there was a lot discovered. A lot discovered. I mean, I
Yeah.
think I heard one of the announcers say this is the sixth lineup change that they've had. So LSU has to settle on the lineup and then work with that. From the Vanderbilt side, they probably hit every note that they practiced to hit and hit it well. Did they want the
Yeah.
score to be as low scoring as it was? I really don't think they care. I think they cared about winning and they cared about
Yeah.
defense and they cared about executing their game plan. And if they did those things, they would win. Regardless of the score, I'm sure they felt like they would win. So yeah, this looked like March Madness to me almost.
Yeah. And LSU scored 61, so they technically kept them 40 points below their average. Now that average has turned out to be fool's
Yeah.
gold, but an average nonetheless. Also, I wanted to note that LSU, we saw this in Kentucky, but again, we kind of let some things slide in Kentucky. But now that we're at this game, LSU lacks a lot of discipline on defense when it comes to fouling. You can tell LSU shot 13 free throws and Vanderbilt shot 26. So that to me tells me there. And I watched the game. I don't think the refereeing was that lopsided or anything like that. But they tend to foul a lot. I can't remember. I don't have it on me. The stat Koval, she's got to move her feet more. She gets caught way too much down there on some really just dumb fouls. Also, I mean, I want to talk about Flau'jae, but really quickly, I will acknowledge there was a controversial no call at the end of the game. Blakes did step out of bounds, and they didn't call it. Now, LSU was down by 3. They would have got the ball back. I personally don't think it would have changed the outcome of this game. They were just unable to execute on offense in the fourth quarter, especially down the stretch. But I will acknowledge, yes, that was a missed call by the referees. So they should have had the ball back and should have had another opportunity. But it is what it is. It should never even come down to one play, as we say. Just like when the Steelers and Ravens played last night, the guy missed the Ravens kicker, who was a rookie. Why we have him out there, who knows? But he missed the kick. But guess what? The game shouldn't even came down to a kick. So it is what it is on that front.
Well, I'll say this about that the missed call. Missed calls happen. Okay. They happen. Unfortunately, you can't hook your wagon to your win or your loss because of a missed call. It is the things that happen during that game that determines the outcome of that game, hopefully. That missed call, because you do as a coach and as a team, you expect there to be some missed calls. Okay. You expect that. I think though it did highlight one thing though, and that is in the NBA, they sort of can go back and I think replay some of these things and look. In this situation, I don't know if that opportunity existed because there wasn't a dead ball or anything like that. But I think maybe in the off season when the rules committees meet and all that good stuff, they figure out a way to, hey, maybe in the last minute or whatever, we review all calls or something like that. But there was no call made. I guess that would be the complaint. But I get it, that LSU felt like had that call been made, we could have at least had an opportunity to go to overtime, if not win. So I do get that, but I don't think either team is taking that missed call and running with it and saying, "Hey, we won because of a missed call," or "Hey, we lost because of a missed call." So, but it is something to note. Hopefully, the rules folks will figure out a way to kind of mitigate future things like that.
And before I go into Flau'jae, speaking of discipline on defense, LSU had 23 fouls to Vanderbilt's 13. And just another interesting stat is that Vanderbilt had 0 fast break points and LSU had 11. So again, they did some things well. It's just that Vanderbilt found a way to win the game. End of the day.
Well,
right?
if you're and that explains a lot of the fouls, right? They had them in a half court set. Vandy was getting they're getting their points in a half court set. So LSU had to be physical, except on the perimeter. They weren't very physical on the perimeter, but down low, they were definitely physical. And then therefore, hey, it results in fouls. So I think that's part of slowing down LSU's tempo and getting them in a half court set where Blakes and Galvan and Washington could go to work.
Right. And I want to round this conversation off with Flau'jae Johnson. 0 points, goose egg, 0 for 4 for field goals. And she played about 18 minutes, which are limited minutes for her. She got yanked pretty early in this game for her play. I think if we're going to get on Malaysia Fulwiley, we've got to get on Flau'jae. This is, and to my understanding, this was Flau'jae's team. She's in her 5th year. You expect a lot more out of Flau'jae. So I think she deserves a lot. I don't call it criticism, but you kind of have to dogpile on her a bit because you expect a player of her caliber to show up. And she just didn't show up in this game. And not only did she not show up, you're not even attempting shots. You're not even hunting for your shots at this point. I think also we've got to say all that crying and whining and complaining about how Kara didn't play you in Team USA, and then the player that got minutes over you takes you and your team for 32 points, and you've got 0. Kara has a case. I was on your side, Flau'jae. I was like, girl, it's politics. You are just, don't listen. But now Kara might have saw something in that practice. Yeah. Kara might have a point, Flau'jae. And I'll end with this and then let you take over. Flau'jae, get out of the booth. I don't want Flau'jae in a booth rapping a single word until we fix all of this. I don't want to hear about a song dropping. I don't want to hear about what's going on YouTube. We get in the gym and get out of the booth.
Now look, at one point, you and everybody else is celebrating. Was it Lil Wayne showing up or somebody? Who was the rapper that I got? Boosie. Okay,
Lil Boosie.
That I got educated on. So look, I don't know about these rapper people and all that stuff. I'm a boomer. I hear it and whatever. I will say this: at the desk, Kim was asked about Flau'jae's play and asked, was she still hurt? I guess she had an ankle injury. To Kim's credit, she said, look, she's out there playing. I don't think she's still, ailing or hurt from the ankle. And I'm not going to make excuses, for her. We have to get better. We have to get tougher. And that's when she went into that, into that conversation. I think if you're out there playing, it's like, hey, you're out there playing, so they're expecting you to produce something. To come away with 0 points, you can't afford to do that if you're the team's, sort of star player. The crazy part about all this for me is, or the question I have, I shouldn't say crazy. The question I have is, when does Flau'jae Fulwiley hit on at the same time? Okay, because that's the game I think LSU fans are looking for when we can see these two, quote, superstars hit at the same time to give us that victory that we feel that we need. Speaking like an LSU, fan or what.
And I'll add Mikayla in that little
I'll add
trio.
Mikayla.
All three of them.
I am
Yeah.
Mikayla. But Michaela's been consistent these last, few games. She's been consistent. She's not a question mark.
Good point.
She's doing what she's doing Mikayla things. So
Yes.
but the other two, Flau'jae and Flau'jae, hey ladies, what is it? Is it as you said, is it the boost? Flau'jae, is it the fact that you're being played somewhat inconsistently? 1 week is the bench, coming off the bench, 1 week you're starting. I don't know. But it's something that LSU needs to figure out and need to figure it out soon. I don't think this loss is going to drop them out of the top 10. I don't think, who knows how those folks who rank these teams are thinking. I don't think it drops them out of the top 10. It's going to drop them though. They will drop. I'm not sure where they drop to, but they will drop.
Right. And just like the last loss, they're in great company. They're not the only upset. Notre Dame lost to Duke. Please unrank them. And Hannah, get in the transfer portal immediately as soon as you can. And Iowa State lost to Baylor because Baylor listened to our show when we said the way you beat Iowa State is you make Audi Crooks come out and guard you. Spread that floor and double Audi Crooks on defense. It's not rocket science. And because they listened to our podcast, they went out there and won and got it done. But again, like Audi Crooks says, which I love, you don't want to be a monster in January. You want to be a monster in March. And that's how you take a loss and upset. That attitude gave me chills, gave me goosebumps. Because I said, bar. That's a bar. Don't get any ideas, Flau'jae. Just because I'm dropping bars, you don't need to drop bars. You need to drop shots. Again, 4 attempts for Flau'jae Johnson, 4 shots attempted is insane. For Flau'jae Johnson.
It is. But I'm hoping again that it was good basketball. It was a great game. It was a great game.
It's a great game. Oh my God.
And I know sometimes folks accuse us of, being too much, on the LSU sort of description and talk thing. But they're a big time team. They were or either still are ranked number 5. So we generally start our conversation there. And these teams that have beat them, they're climbing. And Vanderbilt is going to be a team that's going to have to be reckoned with. And as soon as the rest of the SEC realizes that, and they may realize it now, we're going to see even more exciting basketball because they're going to game plan specifically for Blakes. They're going to game plan specifically for Galavan, and then they're going to sit and try to watch what Sasha Washington does to be able to neutralize her. We're going to see some great basketball coming out of that Commodore's gym and when they hit the road. And which is another question. Hopefully they travel on the road well and we see the same kind of game that we saw against LSU.
Right. SEC is really going to be just an exciting conference to watch because again we still got South Carolina. Like Vanderbilt still has to play South Carolina, the Texas and Kentucky. We still need to see all those teams play. I mean, yes, we're talking about LSU because they just played, but we might be sitting here one day talking about how Vanderbilt beat South Carolina or how Texas lost to Kentucky. So anything can happen. We're just talking about LSU because they're the ones, they're up right now. Again, shout out to Vanderbilt. Great game played from start to finish. Mikayla Blakes, in the words of her coach, she is her, period. And yeah, I just look forward to more basketball. I think that's about it for this game. Anything else you wanted to say in regards to this game or any other upset we saw this weekend?
Well, let me say something about this game. I really want to see the next LSU game because I want to see what adjustments have been made. I also really want to see the next Vandy game because when you come off of a big win like this, let's see if it inflates them to the point where, it gets into a point where they get too comfortable. So I always like to see the following games when you have these upsets and you have these types of performances from a team like Vandy and see how they play. This really tells me that the SEC, from watching what we've seen so far in the season openers, this tells me that the SEC is going to be exceptionally dangerous this season.
Mm-hmm.
Exceptionally dangerous. So those are my final thoughts. And I'm just excited that we got to see that game yesterday. That was a great game.
Well, on January 11th, LSU will face Texas, and that will be interesting because they have a Georgia this weekend, but the following weekend they play Texas, and that will be a very interesting game given their experience, the things they have experienced.
no.
But thank you for listening and watching. Please hit the subscribe button to hear more father-daughter hot takes on basketball. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all those good things. Do you think Flau'jae should stay out of the booth? Let us know. Put the mic down. Pick up the basketball, girl. Other than that, we love doing this. Thank you for indulging us, and we'll talk to you later, guys.
Bye, folks. Bye.